Okay, so I've just come back from a meeting at the Elizabeth Police Station. For a little bit of background information, that meeting was in regards to police raiding my house. When they raided my house, they were looking for marijuana. What they actually found was cryptocurrency mining machines, left with a little bit of egg on their face. I posted a video about it earlier, it went viral. Police eventually agreed to call me back and discuss issues after the video went viral. They wouldn't even take my phone calls before the video went viral, so that was kind of concerning on its own. But in any event, we had a meeting about discussing paying for the damages, took them in some quotes, multiple quotes from multiple different people, varying costs all over the place. That's neither here nor there. Most of the meeting was fairly amicable with Sergeant White. However, towards the end of the meeting, we're just wrapping up. Sergeant White, or Detective White maybe, asked me if I had any other concerns. Now, my concern was I actually lodged a police complaint about police having the power to just raid somebody's property without any prior investigation. I wasn't notified, I wasn't in attendance, there was no specific warrant to me, it was just a general warrant, which is a piece of paper that allows police to do whatever the hell they want. So I lodged a police complaint about it because they damaged my property. They didn't need to damage my property. There was an open window they could have utilised. They used extreme force in gaining entry to the room that they gained entry to. And obviously they didn't need to gain entry at all. As it turns out, they could look in the room. But in any event, after lodging this police complaint, I had an interview with the detective at the police station, and he asked me, did I have any other concerns? One of my concerns was that the detective being stationed at the very station of the officers that he would be investigating might create some bias. And I expressed to him that I'm concerned about the level of bias that may be applied in his investigation. Now, his meathead friend that was sitting in the interview the entire time, didn't say a word prior to that, finally pipes up. He had his arms crossed. He uncrossed his arms, puffs his chest out, points his finger at me, and in no uncertain terms tells me that there is no bias in the police station. He told me that I was not allowed to make claims that there might be levels of bias or to insinuate it. Now, I didn't insinuate it. I straight out told him that I had concerns that bias would be applied. He obviously had something to say, but this obviously proves that there is bias in the police station, because before he's even investigated anything, he's already telling me that there is no bias. That's a problem right from the outset. But the fact is, at that point, he became aggressive towards me as well. He raised his voice, was talking to me like I was a criminal, when it was the police that have done something wrong here. I was in an interview in order to get some answers and to get some resolution on something that they had done wrong. But this is the police force that we're dealing with. They want to exercise power at any cost. They don't give a shit who they're dealing with as long as they have the authority. The thing he said next I found rather interesting was he told me not to infer or imply that the police officers in question were a gang of people that go running around jumping into people's backyards illegally. Now, that was interesting to me because while I do believe that's exactly what happened, I never inferred, said, suggested, implied, or otherwise anything of that nature during the course of the meeting. My question was, I do have one more concern. I'm concerned of the level of bias that might be applied towards your investigation in this case. It was noted very politely, and my response from Mr. White was polite that I received as well. But his meathead manager or boss or whoever this guy is needs to take a look at his attitude, because this is the attitude that he's giving to you and all the other people that have probably not done anything wrong that find themselves in a pickle on a daily basis. This is why people don't like the police. I mentioned that I had concern about somebody investigating people that they work with and have personal relationships with on a daily basis, and he told me that my concerns were completely unjustified and told me that I was not to infer that there could even potentially be any bias. He gave me his personal guarantee that there is no bias, which I think is kind of ludicrous. He can't make that guarantee on behalf of other people. He doesn't even know anything at this point. He hasn't investigated anyone yet. Anyway, what was it we were trying to get resolved? Alright, police broke into my property, they cut my chain, they kicked my door in, they say they tried to pick the lock, even though they have acknowledged full well that they looked in an open window. The officer there at the time told me they looked in the window. They were aware the window was open, clearly if they looked in it. They could have gone in through the window if they really wanted to, but they weren't. They were action junkies, they kicked the door in, they damaged the door frame, they damaged the door lock. Now, they say they did not touch any of my GPUs. However, coincidentally, sometime between the time that I was there last and the time I arrived, after they busted into my house, I've got a GPU which is no longer working. It won't function. I don't know what they did to it. I can't check my security cameras because sometime between the time I was there last and the time I was there next, my security camera cable was cut and my security camera hard drive is missing. Now, I'm not sure if there is anything else missing. I can't check the security cameras. Police are yet to show me any body cam footage. I've asked for it. They have not shown it, which they say there's nothing sinister on it. I don't know that. To me, they could very well just be protecting themselves. I would love to see this body cam footage because I am suspect that maybe something more has gone on there that they're revealing. Clearly, they shouldn't have been there in the first place. They didn't do their due diligence before breaking into my property. But I think that the public should be treated with a certain level of respect with a case such as this. I shouldn't have been broken into the first place. I shouldn't have been wrong. Police are in the wrong here. They're acting like they're in the right. They're acting like I'm a criminal. This is the way they'll treat you. Don't stand for it. They're assholes. They're not entitled to it. They don't own you. They work for you. Your taxes pay their bills. They're there to look out for you. Looking out for you does not include invading your privacy. They are not to break into your house. The use of a general search warrant to break into somebody's house without actual, genuine, immediate requirement to gain entry under the threat of saving somebody's life or hearing someone screaming in agony or in pain or expecting someone that is inside that's going to get away, that prevents them from going to a magistrate to say, hey, look, we think something's going on here, is ridiculous. That shouldn't be allowed to happen. That needs to change. Obviously, the police are acting under the guidelines that they've been given, but whoever's given them this directive needs to put down some changes. Gary Burns needs to wake up to himself and go, hey, we can't have this in South Australia. That's absolutely fucking absurd. We can't have police running around with a right to do anything they want without any recourse. There's a big problem here in South Australia. There's problems all over Australia. There's problems worldwide, but this is one issue of many that needs to be resolved. Police cannot have the power to be both the judge and the enforcer and to invade people's privacy because that creates problems. A general warrant, which is a piece of paper that allows them to do whatever the hell they want to do. There's a blanket license to do anything. Police really need to ask themselves, what is the real objective here? Is the real objective catching criminals or is the real objective protecting the innocent? The day that catching the criminals at the expense of protecting the innocent becomes allowed to happen is a day that we have a major, major problem. And I'm telling you, we have a major, major problem because that day is here. Now, somebody's right to privacy needs to be ranked above everything. I had no interest at all in making this video. But after speaking to the officer in that meeting, it really pissed me off. The guy had no need to speak down to me. He had no need to puff his chest out. As far as I could tell, he was only there to witness the conversation. From what I can establish, he is Mr. White's boss or supervisor or sergeant or constable. I got no idea what his hierarchy is or where he actually ranks in this. He seemed to act like he was in a position of authority. Maybe that's what he likes. He just likes power over people. But it's because of you that I'm making this video again. But don't stand for police walking all over you. That's not what they're there for. What am I hoping to achieve? Well, I'd love to have my stuff fixed at the expense of the police. I'd love some sort of acknowledgement that they did screw up because they did. I'd like to know that it's not going to happen again to somebody else. Really, I'd like public awareness because without public awareness that these sorts of things happen in the police force and that they're allowed to get away with it, and they do get away with it on a daily basis, it'll continue to happen and liberties will continue to be eroded. And we'll continue in the downward spiral that was started a long, long time ago. These cops didn't start the downward spiral, but they are a participant in it, and they could end it right here. But, hey, that's up to what the public says and whether we let it happen or not. Don't let it happen. Well, you might recall the police breaking into my house thinking that I had marijuana grow crops and instead finding a cryptocurrency mining machine. Well, that's inspired me to get one of these. Wow, look at this. And inside this grow cell tent, there's my cryptocurrency mining machines. Now I really give them a reason to bust on in. Nutbags. Tell you what, it's pretty warm in there though. Police. No marijuana here. Hash rate's not too bad though.